We start this hour in the European conflict, and Dmitry Medvedev, the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, says that US President Donald Trump is an effective leader who is genuinely seeking peace in the war, but that Moscow had seen no trace of nuclear submarines. Trump said he moved to Russian shores last year. Medvedev praised Trump as an effective leader, noting that despite his chaotic style, he's been original and pragmatic in his approach. The Russian official further highlighted that under Trump's leadership, contacts with the US have become much more productive. Medvedev's comments shed light on the evolving dynamics between Russia and the US, particularly regarding diplomatic relations. Let's listen in.
Trump президент Соединенных Штатов Америки. И он прежде всего выбран американским народом. И мы к этому выбору относимся с уважением. Более того, Трамп победил, прямо скажем, в непростой борьбе. Это нужно иметь силу воли и мужество, чтобы сопротивляться системе. Но он фигура сложная, противоречивая. Он, напомню, что все-таки на момент начала своей государственной карьеры вообще не имел государственного опыта. Это такая беспрецедентная история. Тем не менее, он со многими процессами внутренними справился, хотя считается, что американский Deep State все-таки его не принимает. И мне кажется, это на пользу делу. Но завершу я с того же, с чего начал. Он человек, который внедряет совершенно новые способы управления. Вот обратите внимание, это первый президент Соединенных Штатов, который управляет через социальные сети.
This comes as both the United States and Russia wait to attend a further trilateral meeting with Ukraine in Abu Dhabi on the 3rd and 4th of this new month of February in Abu Dhabi. David K. Johnston joins us now, an author and journalist, joining us live from New York. Thank you very much, David. It's always a great pleasure to speak to you here on the program. Why would a senior Russian official like Medvedev there publicly describe Trump as effective and peace-seeking? This is, of course, a narrative that we've heard quite frequently from Russian officials in recent months after Trump's presidency. Why are they pushing this narrative?
Well, I think it's very clear that Medvedev, who is essentially the major domo of Putin and served for 4 years as head of the Russian Federation, but actually it was Putin's puppet in those years, is trying to push along the United States so that they can bring an end to the war while providing Russia with much of what it wants, not completely conquering Ukraine, but certainly keeping the territory that they have acquired with an enormous, unbelievably large butcher bill in terms of dead and injured soldiers, and to try and pressure and push their campaign to get land they haven't conquered militarily. That's been the big holdup in these talks, and it's certainly core to the Russian agenda. And they're trying to manipulate Trump. Donald is very subject, as I've explained to people in the past, he's very subject to the last person he talked to, the idea that's in his head at the moment. And so this seems to be part of the effort to get Trump to put pressure on Ukraine to do what the Russians would like.
And Medvedev claims contacts with the US have become much more productive. What would productive actually mean from Russia's perspective here?
Oh, it would mean that they're getting towards pulling back on the intelligence and war materiel that Ukraine needs to defend itself. And Trump has, of course, been highly inconsistent about this, just as Biden before him took a little inch-by-inch diplomatic approach rather than drawing a red line about the Russian invasion. And with these talks coming up, the U.S. is no doubt going to continue to push what is described in many news reports as the Trump plan, but appears very much to be the Kremlin plan slightly modified.
And of course, some European countries, Ukrainian allies, have been looking upon this relationship with certain concern, particularly, of course, when Vladimir Putin went to Alaska earlier in 2025. What do you think worries US allies about this warmer relationship that Donald Trump and his administration seems to have with Moscow?
Well, Putin has made it very clear, going back more than a quarter century, that he wants to put back together, under the thumb of the Kremlin, the territory of the old Soviet Union, and more if he can. The prime ministers in the three Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, tell everybody who will listen, if you don't stop Putin in Ukraine, the Russian tanks are coming. It's just a function of when. And there have been many, many aggressive moves by the Russians, overflights of territory with Russian military jets and other activities. And so the Europeans have not stepped up as much as I would have expected given the threat, although they have spent more money supplying war materiel to the Ukrainians than the United States has. And of course, Putin, who, along with Medvedev, sees the West as this existential threat, even though no move has been made against Russia, they want to break up NATO. That's a core value here, to break up NATO. And Trump has been spouting the Kremlin line on this for years. Donald is clearly, from the point of view of Putin and Medvedev, an asset of the Kremlin. That does not mean he's an agent. That would be witting, deliberate knowledge. But he certainly has been the best investment they have ever made. And the Russians, of course, have been courting Donald Trump since at least 1987.
David K. Johnston, do stay with us as we move on to our next story. We turn